I don't know about you, but pumpkin pie has always given me heartburn. But it occurred to me the other day, maybe it's not the pumpkin pie, maybe it's the fact that I always eat pumpkin pie after eating a really large meal, especially at Thanksgiving. So I thought, well, why not just have it for breakfast before I've had anything else to eat? And then I'll know if it's the pumpkin pie or if it was the heavy meal that I ate before eating the pumpkin pie. I also decided to make the pumpkin pie myself, just to see what the ingredients are. I always just buy pre-made pumpkin pies and never really paid attention to the ingredients. So I went online, found some recipes, and it turns out that some of the recipes call for heavy cream or milk and lots of pumpkin pie spices, which you'd expect. So I decided to go ahead and get the pumpkin pie spices, but to put in a lot less. But maybe that'll help prevent the heartburn and acid reflux by just having a lot fewer spices. So I put in about half as many pumpkin pie spices as the recipe called for. I found quite a few different recipes online on how to make homemade pumpkin pie, and they were all pretty similar. And then after buying all of the ingredients, I discovered there was also a recipe on the back of the pumpkin puree can, and also a recipe on the back of the frozen pie crusts. But I decided to stick with my original recipe that I found online, which only had 4 ingredients plus the pie crusts. The recipe called for sweetened condensed milk, but right next to the sweetened condensed milk at Walmart was this fat-free sweetened condensed milk, so I decided to go with that instead, since high-fat foods are one of the causes of acid reflux and heartburn. The recipe also called for a teaspoon of salt, but I decided to not include that, since I don't add salt to anything, and I can't imagine why that would even be included in this recipe, but I guess I'll soon find out if it was even necessary. It seems like every recipe I've ever looked at includes salt, and I know it can enhance flavors, but from my personal experience, it just isn't always necessary. Most things to me taste perfectly good without any salt, once you get used to it. The 4 ingredients in the recipe that I'm using are 2 large eggs, 1 15-ounce can of pumpkin puree, 1 14-ounce can of sweetened condensed milk, 2 teaspoons of pumpkin pie spice, which includes cinnamon, ginger, and nutmeg, and 2 9-inch pie crusts. I see now that I definitely need to invest in a larger glass bowl. I do have some larger metal bowls, and I guess I should have used one of those, but this will have to do for now. After combining all the ingredients and whisking by hand, you then pour the filling into 2 9-inch pre-made frozen pie crusts, and it's all very simple, easy, fast, and about half the price, or less, than buying a pre-made pumpkin pie. The instructions suggest that you bake in the oven at 425 degrees for the first 15 minutes, and then lower the oven temperature to 350 degrees for another 35 or 40 minutes. It didn't really occur to me until after I bought the pie crusts at Walmart that I probably could have found fat-free pie crusts at one of our local health food stores, or I could have made them myself. I looked online and there are quite a few recipes for fat-free pie crusts. If I decide to bake pumpkin pies again in the future, I will definitely go completely fat-free. Fat-free condensed milk, fat-free pie crusts, and fat-free whipped topping. But even with these pie crusts that I discovered are made with lard, and with Cool Whip that contains 2% fat, for the first time in my life I didn't have heartburn after eating a piece of pumpkin pie. So just substituting full-fat condensed milk for fat-free condensed milk seems to have done the trick, especially when I ate the pie for breakfast without eating anything else. I also had a slice of pumpkin pie after eating a heavy lunch, and I did have a slight bit of heartburn afterwards, but I didn't need to take an acid reflux pill like I usually would, and after drinking a couple of glasses of water, the slight heartburn was gone a couple of hours later. So I'm happy to say that my experiment was a success, and for the first time I can eat pumpkin pie without the acid reflux. If you try this yourself, please let us know in the comments section if it works for you as well.